Hello, this will be my first YouTube video. Mainly just gonna be fucking around with my cars and my truck. I'm gonna try and document lots of what I do. Just having fun, fucking around. This over here is my 1989 Dodge Ram 50, or a Mighty Max, if you will. It doesn't run at the moment. Trying to fix it, trying to figure out a carb issue and a distributor issue. It's nothing special. It's got a steering wheel and a bucket seat. That's pretty much it. I did the paint job on it myself. It's a Kubota orange. It's a great paint job. But what I'll be working on today is my 2008 Dodge Caliber SRT4 here. I have been swapping the motor on this for a long time now. Originally, it blew some turbo seals, and it had some peanut butter oil in it. It wasn't good. So I pulled this out, this motor out of here, about a month ago now. Pulled that out and did an NA block swap. So pretty much stripped the block down to from a naturally aspirated caliber 2.4 and put all the internals back in that block and throw it all together with the SRT head and SRT pistons, all that fancy stuff. Throw it together, and then I dropped the motor back in it 2 weeks ago and found out that my good friend Colton put the fucking clutch in backwards. So last week I had to pull it back out, flip the clutch around, and then I got it back in and found out that the slave cylinder's leaking. And the slave cylinder is inside the bell housing. So now I have to take it out again. Last time when I had to flip the clutch around, I tried dropping the transmission, but holy cow, I could not get it back in there for the life of me. So I think today I'm just gonna pull the whole fucking thing out of there, fix the slave cylinder, drop it back in, see if I can get it running and moving. It definitely runs. I've heard it run before, but it doesn't move yet. So that's something. I'll just be working on it today, pulling the motor out of it. Probably just do a time lapse or something of this. Maybe update you on some problems or anything I have going on, but engine's like half back in the car by now, so it's pretty much just unplugging connectors, disconnecting the coolant system, just all that stuff. Unhooking the exhaust back there, getting all the mounts off of here. So I'm just gonna set the camera up somewhere and start pulling this fucking thing apart. Alright, I have pulled some shit out of here. I changed my t-shirt because the other one was bugging me, and I went to go get a sip of chocolate milk. That shit hits. Holy cow. Anyways, update on the caliber. I have everything disconnected that I believe needs to be disconnected. Holy exposure. Oh, the sun's really bright today. We got the coolant and power steering reservoirs out of here, and all the lines unhooked from it. The rad's out. The clutch bleeder down here. Oh, can I zoom in on that? It's not gonna focus, is it? This thing right here has this little line that goes to it. That's disconnected. We got the shifter cables disconnected. The heater core lines disconnected. All the vacuum lines from the turbo. I'm not sure if you guys can see this. Yeah, there's vacuum lines on this nipple here, and there's another one right there. That's disconnected. They go to these two solenoids here. So I'm pretty sure everything. Oh, I also took the ECU off this bracket down here, this white bracket, just to get it out of the way. I decided I'm going to pull the motor with the wiring harness attached to it, just easier than I'd have to take the intake off and unplug a bunch of connectors and remember where they go, and I'm not about that. So I'm just going to pull the engine with the wiring harness connected. I am pretty sure I'm ready to hook up my chains to the motor and then unbolt the engine mounts and start hoisting this thing out of here. And if I forgot something, then I guess I'll find out when it comes out, and I'll update you guys on the process then. Here we go. I got the gantry hooked up to the engine here. On this mount, I just took one of these bolts out, put the engine leveler bracket through and bolted it back down. And then there's a factory lift point over here behind the valve cover, in between the valve cover and the turbo. Just put a bolt through it, and I got someone's yelling at me, man. Shut up. I got some weight being pulled on here, so got 1, 2, there should be a third mount here, but I didn't get around to putting that in. And there's a fourth mount at the back here on the tranny. There's 3 tranny mounts and 1 engine mount, but I don't have this one in yet. I didn't get around to it. It's sitting on the floor over here. So just 3 mounts for me to take out, and should be ready to pull this thing. Here's my update on the progress on my Caliber SRT4. Holy cow. Got the motor up in there. It's being supported by my hoist here. Everything's disconnected. Well, not everything. I left lots of the accessories on the engine, but it's free from the car, so all I really have to do now is push the car backwards, drop this engine and transmission onto a tire, that tire right there, and then I have to disconnect the tranny from the engine and figure out why the slave cylinder's leaking. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, engine is on a tire, and this is empty, like it always is. I feel like this car has an engine in it half the time, and half the time it looks like this. So there's like 8, 9, 10 bolts holding this transmission to the block, so I gotta tear it apart. Here's my update. Look at the sun. Oh, is it gonna... It's not gonna focus too good, but it's a lot later in the day now. I kind of got bored of working on this, so I took a little break. But now I have the transmission disconnected from the engine, but I found another problem. The oil pan is leaking, which I think is very weird because there's no oil pressure on this engine right now, and it wasn't leaking when there was oil pressure. But you can see when I had the engine up in there, it was leaking all my nice clean 0W40 out on the fucking tire here. Anyways, here is the slave cylinder on the Caliber. The throw-a bearing, I think it's a package deal type thing. There's a clutch bleeder, and here's where the hydraulic line goes in. And then it goes up and under there, into the slave cylinder here. So I got to figure out what is actually leaking on this thing, because when I tried to bleed my clutch, there was lots of brake fluid coming out of right here, so the bottom of the engine here. So what I might do is pick up this transmission and throw it in this hole right here, and then hook the clutch line up to it, pump the clutch a few times, and see if I can see it leaking. Hopefully I can, and hopefully I have the stuff to fix it. That's what I'm dealing with right now. So, I'll keep you guys posted. Alrighty, so I got the transmission disconnected from the engine. I don't know if I already updated about that, but I threw the transmission in here, had it hoisted up with the jack, and I hooked up this clutch line to the bleeder that goes through this hole, right? And everything's apart right now, but this is the throw bearing slave cylinder 2-in-1 type deal, and it sits right on this input shaft thing, whatever you want to call it. Sits right there, and this tube connects to the clutch bleeder that sits there, and then the hydraulic clutch line from the master cylinder attaches to the clutch bleeder. So in my endeavors, I found out that brake fluid, clutch fluid was leaking from this connection here into the brake bleeder, the clutch bleeder. So in my inspections, I found out this right here is the clutch bleeder that I broke last week, because it's a plastic piece of shit and they like to break. I have a billet one on order, but I'm an impatient fuck, so I have this one for the meantime. This was in the car. This was the one that was leaking, and if you look at the end here, there's a little O-ring right at the end, which this one I didn't switch over. This one doesn't have it, and that's what's causing my issues. That's why I pulled the whole fucking engine and transmission. That little O-ring caused me 5-6 hours of grief. So I'm going to put that O-ring back on the proper clutch bleeder, put everything back together, and it should work. Don't buy a caliber SRT4. Advice from Calvin: don't buy a caliber SRT4. Also, I know I just showed this sun not too long ago, but it is mesmerizing. It's so smoky here. Alrighty. Transmission is bolted up to the engine. That was a fucking pain in my ass to do by myself. It's only like 6, 7, 8 bolts around them. But trying to get the output shaft, whatever you want to call it, lined up with the clutch and everything, and all the bolt holes lined up, oh, it's just, and trying to start a bolt or two while you're lining it up is just a pain, a super pain. But I got it done. I had the transmission set up on these cinder blocks here, and then had the engine kind of in the right spot, and then just kind of pushed the two together, and then held the two together with my legs and started the bolts. So it's good now. She's ready to be dropped back into the car as soon as I clean up my mess that I got. I got to take away these cinder blocks, this tire. Kind of want to organize my tools so I don't lose them. And then I have to roll the car forward and jack it up, and then I can start throwing this thing in. So I will do that. Okay, the car is up in the air, and I have this back mount all bolted up. That bolt right there, and then there's two on the subframe. Maybe it's easier to see from over here. I don't know if I can zoom in on them for you guys. I think it's that bolt there. Of course, it's not going to focus. Yeah, that stud and bolt right there, right there. Then there's one on the back side of the steering rack too, but I don't think I'll be able to show it to you guys unless I crawl under there, which you don't want to do. Anyways, I've got this mount over here to do, and this mount over here to do, and then the engine is in the engine bay, and then it's just plugging shit up. The first thing I'm going to do is hook up that clutch line and bleed the clutch, because I don't want to go through plugging a whole bunch of shit up and then having to take the fucking engine and transmission out again. So I'm going to make sure that that works first. Oh my gosh. Doing this alone is the worst thing in the world. I wish I had my friend CJ to come help, but it's fine. I got it done. Engine's in. It's all bolted up. 1, 2, a third at the back there. I don't have this fourth one on yet because you don't really need it anyway. Might just leave it out. I'm kidding. That was a joke. Anyways, I got the clutch bled. I got some help with that. Got my mom to pump the clutch, and I bled it, and it's not leaking anymore. So I'm good to hook everything else up, plug in everything, hook the coolant system up, hook the exhaust up. I got it zip tied over here because it always likes to fall this way. That's not cool. Put the axles in. Anything else I'm forgetting, put the ECU in, and hopefully it'll drive. Hopefully I'll back up right into my bike there and take it out, and then have to buy a new bike. Wow, this camera sucks at focusing. Anyways, I'll keep you posted. Alright, making progress here. Got the whole coolant system hooked up. I don't have coolant in it yet. Got the fucking boost pipe hooked up from the intercooler to the turbo. Intake's on. Batteries in there. All the grounds are attached. Coolant and power steering reservoirs are on. All the shift linkage, vacuum lines, that's all hooked up. ECU's in. I've just been grinding. Been meaning to get more footage, but I just want to get this thing going. I still have to crawl underneath and tighten the bottom nuts on the turbo here. We got the top 3, but there's one there and one behind that I can't really get from the top here. So got to crawl underneath, do that. There's a plane going above me. I got the axles to put in, and kind of blanking what else I need, but I guess I'll figure it out as I go. Obviously needs a hood and bumper, but that can wait. I also got to switch the rear wheels. Still on some winter setup here. I'm going with these white. I just painted the stock wheels white. They're not perfect. I want to invest in some new wheels eventually, but I'd like to get the car going first. I just painted this and now it's fucked up. You see this? That's no bueno. No bueno. Yeah, making progress. Alright, it's the next day. It's rainy out. I'm in my shed with my toolbox here. Supposed to be working, but apparently it's too wet to dig some holes today, so I got some work to do on the caliber. Last night I got a lot of shit done. I left my tools out, as you do, in the rain. Oh, I just dropped something down there. Anyways, pretty much got everything hooked up. I got the axles on, I got fluid in the transmission. These wheels are good to go back on. I really think the only thing that needs to be done is just to put coolant in it. Doesn't have any coolant in it right now, but everything else is hooked up. So I think I'm gonna drop some coolant in it and then give it a start. See how she goes. Throw the wheels back on, take it for a spin. I gotta move my bike and I gotta clean up this mess here. So I'm gonna do that now. Alrighty, car is back together. Wheels are on the ground. As far as I'm concerned, everything is bolted up. And I just finished filling this up with coolant. I still gotta get the air bubbles out of it. But I think she's good to give it a start. So I'm going to do that now. Got the key here. Alright, here we go. This thing doesn't have a steering wheel, but you don't need that to start. So we got power. This radar detector is gonna scream at me. I just unplugged that for the moment so it doesn't yell at me. Okay, low on gas, but we don't need that. So I'm gonna do flood mode first for 2 or 3 cranks, and then I'm gonna give it a shot. So here we go on flood mode. Oh, she's in gear. That was smart. Oh. Okay, there's flood mode, and then oh, I need a clutch. Oh, she wanted to go there. Doesn't want to go into gear though. We also have a lightning bolt up on the dash. Oh, and it's running pretty rough. The clutch feels a little soft, and it doesn't want to go into gear. Huh. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Okay, it's running, but very rough. Running pretty rough, and it's also got a nasty belt squeal coming from one of the pulleys. Something squealing, and still doesn't want to go into gear. This shifter cable was popped off of there, so I thought that might have been the issue, but it still does not want to go into gear, and I thought that was why I just fixed it. But clutch fully in, and it does not want to go into gear whatsoever. So that's an issue I'll have to figure out. Because if I do turn the key off, it shifts into gear nicely. So it's like the clutch isn't working properly. God damn it. Alright, I'm getting a little pissed off with this car right now. It runs, not very good, but that's because of this map sensor code that it's throwing, so I gotta figure out what's going on there. But my real issue is the car, the clutch never disengages, and I thought I just fixed that issue, flipping the clutch around, but I guess it didn't fix it. So when the car is off and the clutch is in, it goes into gears, or at least it was doing that a second ago. Now it's not going to. Oh, okay, no. It doesn't like first, I guess. Maybe that shift linkage fell off again. Anyways, there's gears. It's going into them. But if I were to turn the car on, have the engine running with the clutch fully in, it does not go into gears at all. And if I am to put it into, say, reverse, depress the clutch fully and crank it over, the car will go backwards as if the clutch isn't disengaged, even though the clutch is, my clutch pedal is all the way in and it has lots of pressure on it. I bled it real good. So I got to do some more diagnosis and figure out why that is doing that. I want it to move before I start dealing with this map sensor code. I don't want to go through dealing with that to have a car that doesn't even move. At least it runs. So I got some more work to do, I guess. Pretty pissed off about it. Alright, this piece of shit is still a piece of shit. I spent most of the day napping because after the last update, it starts, it runs good, but it does not drive still. The clutch never disengages, and that's what I'm thinking, the clutch is not disengaging. So, spent some money, ordered a whole new clutch kit, flywheel, clutch, pressure plate, slave cylinder, and I just got this in the mail today. It's the billet clutch bleeder. So hopefully that'll fix my issues. The clutch, oh, does this turn off? The clutch won't be here till 2 weeks from now, so I think I'm going to edit this video up and kind of just post it as a part 1 and then get some more footage next time the engine comes out that I gotta do the clutch again. So there's that. The 4th time this month that engine and transmission will be coming out. But I'm gonna continue to document my process on this, so thanks for watching.